5 seconds remaining. Radiant team banned. Dire team banned. Radiant team banned. Dire team banned. Ten seconds remaining. Radiant team pick. Dire team pick.
Oh.
10 seconds remaining.
Oh, NFT. You know, NFT for me stands for something else entirely, Mike. I can't say it on stream, but I will say that.
Dire team pick.
Fair, fair, fair. Still, what isn't upsetting? That's true. I doubt it. You know, SLP is doing fine, so I hear, but what's not disappointing, Mike, is Polaris versus OB.NEON. We saw these two teams slug it out yesterday. A classic rambulan here for the lower bracket, into the lower bracket finals. Both teams looking confident, so we'll have to see what they bring out. Draft already on hand, and I'm liking what Polaris has, Mike. They're taking a page out from Boom here. Start with Snap, get the Centaur. So, I'm trying to recall, have we seen Lelouch play Snapfire mid? Have we seen Mac do it? I'm trying to think all the way back to Omega and Adroit. I don't believe so. Maybe once or twice in BTS Pro Series 3 or 4. That's when the Snapfire mid was really popping off. But that flexibility is there for Polaris because we saw Yopach dominate with it. So maybe it's back. Maybe Mac takes it mid. Maybe Lelouch takes it mid. We'll see.
Dire team banned.
In this case, I think that's likely Savius' hero in 4. I think Boomy loves the Snapfire 4. They tend to gravitate towards that. You've got Snapfire Centaur, Cookie into Hoofstomp. Not a combination we've seen a lot of. In fact, we have not seen a lot of that Centaur in quite a few months. So, yeah, I think you have that stable combination offlane. You just run with it. Be really aggressive on the off. Build up with Force and Savius. Gosh, it's a mental workout to recall these names, Mike. But be a Force in the offlane with Force on the offlane. For Neon, they've got the Doom and Lion, so that could be our mid Doom. That could be our safe lane Doom once more for Palos. I think when you consider that you're playing against Centaur Snap, that added durability, the added move speed the Doom has with his Scorched Earth might be enough to save him from those ganks. So having the Doom 1 here isn't too bad against Snapfire Ascent. There's still a lot of aggression coming through from Polaris, but the Doom can kind of hold back, play with Devour, still build up anyway. Mm-hmm.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
It's nice and long, you know, you've got the banks going over. If you let them down, they could cover like your eye. So you'd have that early to mid 2000s emo look. I think you rock it pretty well. The beard doesn't quite fit that look, you know. If you were clean shaven like you were once in BTS Pro Series 1, you'd definitely be the emo king. And right now it's like because of the long hair and the beard, it's more like a, you know, like alt rock guy, kind of matured emo kind of look. What it's going, the natural progression of things.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Yes. Yes, it was Palos.
Radiant team.
It was Alina. It was Alina for Mamang Daya. They don't have that option anymore taken out, along with the Kunkka as well. So there's big win conditions from one that scale up. Not quite there. I guess there's the option for TA, which would play in with a Tidehunter, harkening back to Nigma, of course. But you will kind of have that win condition on pause 1. Your Doom will just scale up, but doesn't have the brunt of the game on its back. You could still flex that way for Neon here. I love that Polaris did respect ban Mamangdaya's heroes though, because he's so influential from it. It feels like he's been setting the pace for Neon since coming back in, reminiscent of what we've seen from Army Geniuses. He just plays whatever on mid, plays the Kunkka, plays the Darkseer mid, and just runs with it, and just sets the tone for the game. Polaris though, they see that Tidehunter, they get the Leshrac Abaddon. So if they're expecting a Doom mid, Leshrac just overwhelms it. Lots of early wave clear, lots of early magic damage as well. Once you shove out that lane, sure, the Doom's going to be able to still farm, but there's always the threat of a tower push from the Leshrac early on, and that's something that Polaris can leverage from the mid. They get the Abaddon out as well, likely our Mavis hero, so CML playing the hard 5. Abaddon, lots of good spells as you dispel, prevent the control from coming true, cop the hits for the team, and Neon do go back to the TA. So it is looking like a Doom safe lane for Palos, win condition for Mamangdaya on mid. TA versus Lesh, not the easiest time for the TA still. Lots of good instance damage from Lesh to melt refraction, but as a TA, if you just play back, kind of maintain a good distance from your level 1 to 3, you can hit level 4, start to feel a bit better about that lane matchup, and then you always have your side camps to go back to anyway.
Team ban. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of like Puppy, right? Like Puppy with Secret always finds these hidden players early on in their career, leverages them up, and they learn a lot. So I think Neon's starting to become that training ground. We'll see if it carries through for Mamangdaya in UK, but so far looking great from AG into here, as you mentioned. Last picks coming through for both sides, so Polaris lacking that Natsumi hero. Not many options left. I think Illusions heroes would have been really good to overwhelm TA. You kind of want to have a strong win condition because the Leshrac is not going to scale. Neither is the Centaur all that well. So you kind of want something that just keeps farming and building up. Lifestealer could be an option against a Tidehunter. Could kind of lane well, but they banned it out themselves early on. So not going to have that option. There is a Jug if you just want to kind of spin, play a mid-game tempo, and overwhelm from there. But they go with a Razor instead. So Razor, great against Titan lane, static link to just soak up damage, right click away. Really good with dealing with the TA as well. So even though you can't burst down the TA, you can take away a lot of her damage and just overwhelm her as the game goes on, especially once you hit your refresh timing. Double static link on 2 melee heroes here from Neon. Doom and Tide gonna be really easy targets for that, along with a double static storm, or the Eye of the Storm, and having the Ags upgrade down the line. There's a ton of push for Polaris as well. Yeah, they have Lion. Yeah.
I speak for the
Oh.
true hero.
I think pause one, maybe a pause one Prophet off. No, off lane Doom and support Tide could be the way to go, because when you have the Razor versus Doom, Doom can still just farm up, get the Devour off, and run from there. OB.NEON not picking their heroes yet, so still figuring out the draft. We see Polaris, of course, just going for the standard Razor safe lane, Flash Rack mid. We've got Force and Centaur, and they've got their lanes lined up. They will still stick to the Doom for Palace, and they will run the Tide support. Enryu taking the Nature's Prophet off lane. So Tide 5, likely line 4, as we do see Norman take the line. Tide Doom lane, unsafe lane up against the Centaur Snap. It's not a very easy lane. You are two very tanky heroes, but there's minus armor in the Snap. There's double stun with the Cookie and the Hoof Stomp down the line for the Scent. And although you can kind of zone them out with the Tide, it's not really what you want to do because you shove out the wave for Doom. So I think Polaris will still have a good time in lanes. And overall, I think Polaris did come out with a stronger draft. Like, you will be concerned of the TA. There's some early rotations OB.NEON can get out with Nature's Prophet, but the push timings, the power spikes lined up for Polaris, they're engage and disengage with a Centaur Stampede as well, allowing the Razor to just keep static link up. It's a lot to play against for OB.NEON in the first 15 minutes here.
Lakad mo, Totoy!
Normally.
Prepare for battle.
I'll take it.
Yep, they're gonna be just safe, so they're just securing good time. They'll be able to spot out when the TA does go to farm up. I think that's just gonna allow them to rotate for the power runes as well, which is pivotal for the Leshrac versus TA. And rune control is something we've talked about a lot for teams. I think Polaris and Neon are the two teams that really emphasize that with support movement. So we'll have to see if this is enough to give Polaris that bit of edge in that mid to just build up. They even dropped that early ward deep in the jungle to watch the stacks, watch the build up, prevent the Doom and TA from having a good jungle to clear out later on.
Thank you so much.
The micro coming out from Enryu just making so much work happen there for the side of OB.NEON. And now Natsumi had to down one salve, which means you're going to be lacking some region there on Mavis. He's going to be able to fly some out down the line. Not good news for the side of Polaris. OB.NEON already forcing out that pause one, looking like they will go for a lane swap. Palace is going to show bot. He is going to be hanging around with Norman. Only Mavis showing up in this lane so far. So one wave gone for Natsumi as he walks top and then walks bot. So he does look like he wants that Doom lane to play with the static link. But at an EXP deficit, this rides through the roughest part for Doom. He hits level 2 a bit faster. He's going to have Scorched Earth. He's going to be a bit safer in trying to run away here.
Has come to Radiant's
The initial levels are Leshrac favored for sure. It takes quite a few points in refraction to start feeling tanky with the instance protection. I think the Leshrac, even then, once you get the Edict up, you can still melt the TA if she's out of position. So Mamangdai is going to have to work this lane a lot harder, whereas it's easier for Lelouch to clear out the wave, keep building up. You can already see that. Mamangdai, he needs level 4 or level 5 to really feel stable in the lane. Going for a 2-0-2 build into 2-0-3 or 3-0-2 is when you stabilize, have a little bit more range to play tag. Just trying to give themselves the presence they need. They don't want to have to give an overwhelming start to Natsumi. It's just such an easy time when you've got static link targets. So now they're going to run the dual ranged lane with the NP and the line. So you're not going to have too much free time for Natsumi now, but he's gotten what he wants from the lane. He hits level 3, level 2 static link up, and he has the boots up. So even if you're ranged, you can run up, get the slow off with a plasma field, still get a lot of damage going your way here.
Gold is a great conductor.
It's not for nothing. At least he can TP back, Mike. If he TP'd up and died, he'd have to walk back. So maybe sometimes it... Yep. He's free to do so. I don't think Natsumi's leaving, though. Again, he's got the levels up in the Razor. He's got boots. You don't care for the range now. You've got the speed. And every time you have Plasma Field, enough mana for the field and the Link, that slow is enough to get a lot of damage on the static Link, because we've seen Enry already shoved back earlier on. So I think Polaris setting themselves up well with the lanes. OB.NEON with a pause 5 Tide and pause 1 Doom. It's just, again, it's a very durable lane on paper. 2 strength heroes up front, a lot of HP to have to rip through, but it's a Centaur and a Snap. There's some good minus armor there, double stuns. I think for the most part, Force is just going to have a good time here. He's already up there in CS. And Palos is just going to have to play the slow game, play with Devour, work towards the Midas, and hope that the rest of the team can buy him that space to grow big.
My thanks. A tithe to the impurities.
No, it's still a tough time. Like, even with the tree in play, Razor's one a few here set in choice at. He has great wave clear on the plasma field, and you can see Natsumi going for a 2-2-0 build, emphasizing that wave clear, emphasizing the early damage. Mavis doing a great job of just zoning out as well. They don't have enough damage to burst through the heal and the shield. Mavis is just being a complete nuisance. Every single time the line's gone, Enry just gets zapped down. No damage. Can't CS, has to rely on the treants, and every single time he micros that in, Natsumi just gets free gold.
Dyer's courier has been slain. Even couriers are not safe. Ah, now this is a battle. The red mist spreads at Radiant's middle tower. Money changes hands.
Yeah, that's the one saving grace for OB.NEON. They're not finding the aggression they want from the lanes, but their slow game is actually going well. CS is still good across the board for their cores despite the slower start. Only really Paulus lagging behind in a big way, but that's a Doom. He has Devour, he's eventually going to get Midas and get Farm, so you don't mind that at all. The big thing for Neon right now is with all the attention on the side lanes, Mamdai is farming up, although they are pressuring Natsumi, but again, with the Abaddon around, they've got good dispels and heal. They don't have the burst to deal with it. But Mamang Daya will be an issue. He has free reign for the jungle and is building up at a good pace.
Much like cordwood before axe's axe, Dyer's top tower.
Lakad matataw! Normally.
Messiah's top tower is under attack.
It's a ton of space. Look at the rest of the map here. Lelouch spotting the stacks of Mamang Daya. They're going to contest it, and there's no heroes to back up Mamang Daya. He was the one hero having a good time in lane. Now he's losing all of this flash farm. And it's just down to these item timings that Force had. He has Vanguard up. It took them so long to kill that set because he's got that early protection from the damage. And now OB.NEON, they're running out of tools to play early. In fact, Palos just died solo.
Dire structures are fortified. Super tower is under attack like you can't even imagine. Much like cordwood before axe's axe, Dyer's top tower is under attack. Dyer's top tower has fallen.
Yeah, they've gotten the early objectives with the Lesh up top. They've managed to win out basically every lane. You could argue mid was a little bit better for Mamang Daya, but he's lagging behind now. That early momentum we were looking from Polaris' draft is online. Like, if they keep taking these objectives and no defense comes out from Neon, it's going to be rough for them to find that space to farm on a Doom and a TA. These heroes need some initial items to have presence.
Lakad matataw! Normally.
Your entrails fist to my horns.
Yeah, I mean, Paulus is going to hit that Midas timing soon. That's when you can feel a bit more comfy in your scaling and how you work the map. And they are starting to buy some more space from Mamang Daya. Besides that one death, he's been fine, and they're just kind of tagging the supports now, forcing Mavis back. Still not enough damage, though, to work through that. Oh. Got the Edict and return damage. The old Centaur push is still in play. Gonna force a response here from Neon, but they don't have levels on the supports to fight back here.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dyer's middle tower is under attack. Dyer's middle tower has fallen.
Yeah, they just don't have the levels. Like, for a tied support, you need Ravage up. UK just hits level 5 at the 10-minute mark. Without that Ravage, you're lacking big teamfight initiation until maybe Blink Online, but that's all miles away here for Narman. So the timings aren't lining up. Polaris leveraging their early spikes with these heroes, and if they keep these jungles choked out, if Neon don't manage to find a push on bot in mid to counteract that, you're going to be starving out in Mamang Daya. He does have the Blink up on the TA, So he's a bit more mobile, a bit harder to catch out. But he will need some more jungle space to get that Deso and the BKB timing out. In fact, I think you could get away with just the BKB first if you wanted to be aggressive, because you do have minus armor coming through from the Tide, so you can still get some good damage off. I think you need some protection early on. We'll see which way Mamangdaya goes, but looks like he will commit for Deso first. Polaris not going to mind. They're really tanky with a Centaur up front, and they're also getting really good items flowing through here for Natsumi and for Lelouch. No troubles at all here for Polaris yet. What? Oh no. Yeah, you know, that was down to the medallion on Savius. He had enough armor to last through the right clicks of Enryu and of Norman. There's no Blightstone in Enryu, so there's no way for them to rip through his added durability and just gets to walk away. That's such a terrible feeling for a line. You know, you hit 6, Mike, you go for the finger play, you don't get the kill. It's a long cooldown at level 1. That's gonna set the tempo for OB.NEON. They have to wait for that finger for burst. They do have Ravage and Doom up at the least, so they could maybe look to make a play. But right now they're just satisfied getting some space to breathe, space to farm. And that is still worrying, because Polaris, they've got a 2k lead, they're working every lane, and they're buying space for Lelouch. He's rushing into his Kaya into the Bloodstone, and that's going to be a lot of forward presence for him once that's up and running.
War has come to Radiant's bottom tower. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Just managed to weave around where Polaris is playing, finding some open spots to keep farming up, keep catching up. Mamangdaya halfway through that Desolator, so damage output of the T is going to skyrocket shortly. And I think for Polaris, as you said, Mike, they need to get some aggression out. Maybe push a tier 2 early on, maybe get the jump in. They've got that blink on force, and they've got the Stampede up.
I am the ghost.
Yeah, they managed to waste the Stampede there as well on Polaris. A big repositioning skill for Polaris to set these ganks. They will smoke up though. Still on the hunt. Not going to find a big core, but UK is still a nice pickoff if they can find it. Yeah, just has better scaling into late game. Damage doesn't get irrelevant for the TA. Of course, the Leshrac has a bit of a late game window. When BKBs are down to 6 seconds, it actually feels pretty strong. We've seen that late game Leshrac actually have some presence, but that's way down the line. I think the TA is going to overwhelm you by mid game. Still, Neon, they've smoked up themselves. They've got the Ravage, they've got the Doom. They do not have the best wards forward to spot to get rotations out, so they're not going to find anyone in the triangle. But they might be able to at least get some forward vision now, maybe set up for a tier 1 push, or at least protect themselves from the Rosh and any rotations out. But they're also missing out on opportunity. So very defensive from both sides, playing safe, sticking together, not giving too many openings to either side. This is still beneficial towards Neon as Mamangdaya keeps farming up here. No, it's a lot of time they spent down as 5. I think you could have gone for this push earlier on with just a couple of heroes, although if he's fine to kill.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's towers are fortified, just like that.
And they're about to hit that major spike here in Lelouch. The Bloodstone's almost up, just lacking that Voodoo Mask. They're gonna have a lot more presence coming out from him, and ooh, sneaky Roche. Definitely are. And Polaris has the gun for those tier 2s now. Take out the top tier 2, take out the outpost, completely control the top jungle, cut off Mamangdaya and Paulus from farming, because they are 14-2 at 17.5 minutes, but they're only 2k up. That's not enough. That means you haven't shut down the TA, you haven't shut down the Doom. Sure, it still looks bad for Doom being behind these cores. It doesn't matter. No fights are breaking out. No engagements are coming through to slow down your farm pace. You will still hit the BKB and blink timing that the Doom wants. And you can just go from there. Polaris, they are finally finding the top tier 2, slowly but surely. And they are forcing out the Fortify. The Bloodstone is up and running on Lelouch, so he has the mana sustain to play these fights. But I think Neon's managed to stall out long enough that they're going to be online on this TA. Deso up, BKB next for Mamangdaya. Once you hit that BKB spike, there is nothing from Polaris that handles that TA outside of the Razor with Static Link.
Much like cordwood before axe's axe, Dire's tower is Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
They should be in control of the map. They should be the ones on the aggressive instead of the ones playing really defensively here and being punished for it. Look at their triangle being taken over by Neon. Mamangdaya just runs up, clears out the camps, keeps building up. BKB coming closer and closer here for the TA. And Polaris, they're losing that gold lead. It's down to just 1k, even with a 14-3 kill lead. It's not doing enough. And I think for Polaris, they've got to consider their scaling now. Natsumi lagging a bit behind in farm, not by much, but the Razor doesn't have an item lead. Does have the BKB up into the SNY. Now, come late game, we talked about the possibilities with Razor, Mike. Refresh is going to be great, Ags is going to be great. That takes a lot of farm, and Natsumi's just not farming as fast as the TA or Doom to kind of hit those item spikes early on. They do have the smoke up though, but it's going to be a bit late in the wrap back. So they're going to be able to take that, take the outpost, control the top jungle, and maybe start eyeing that mid tier 2, maybe start considering the high ground on the next Roche. It's going to be important for Polaris to kind of make ways into the map as we approach the 30-minute mark. And at that point, 30 minutes in, you're seeing a Doom with BKB Blink, you're seeing a TA With BKB Blink as well, maybe even the build up into Daedalus can be really strong. You run out of tools here if you're not careful.
Oh!
That's a big cookie coming out from Xavius. That was the cookie to turn that fight around, because the triple stun as they came in gave an open for Polaris to fight after Ravage. And cleaning up Mamangdaya early on without him popping his BKB meant that your real damage dealer on that TA, which is your real pause one, wasn't able to contribute much. And now Polaris finally take back the network lead. 3-4K on their side. OB.NEON, it looked good. The follow-through wasn't quite there. They need to protect Mamangdaya a bit more. He was just a bit too close to action. Got taken out way too quick to leverage that Desolator here.
Structures are fortified. Radiant structures are fortified with power. You can Radiant's middle tower is not what it used to be. Your tower was worth a damn. It would still be standing.
Yeah, just not finding stacks in the line. Like, we're 4 minutes in. Unfortunately for Narman, not a single finger kill going his way. And that cooldown, it is going lower, but doesn't feel like OB.NEON's managed to play around the gank potential they have with the Doom, with a finger, the Ravage, all as much as we expected. And now Polaris, despite that slower start, despite playing a bit more conservative in the early game, have a very big lead now. Your Leshrac is just hitting this huge timing. Lelouch going for the heart next. Already has the Shivas up on top of the Bloodstone. And this Leshrac's going to be really hard to melt. In case of protection from the Abaddon, we've seen this be an issue from lane. They don't have enough initial burst to deal with the shield, to deal with a Mist Coil heal, and you are just getting a lot of presence out from Mavius because of that. Neon, they don't have many more items to wait for. Like, the Daedalus from Mamangdaya is going to boost damage. I think they really just need to actually commit BKB and follow through on a kill. If they kill one big hero, they can turn the fight from there. Oh, Mamangdaya.
Middle tower is under attack.
Really is. It's a lot of output from Lelouch. And you have to love this combo from Polaris. We talked about this from Draft Mike, but when you've got Razor plus Centaur, it's so easy for Natsumi to just find a big target, static link up, and just get easy kills. And Enry protected for now with a Sprout, but not for long here. I think Neon had a bit of an opening. They just couldn't find the right targets. They will try to smoke again. They still have Ravage. They still have Doom. They've got Finger back up. They just need to find that one hero. If they find Lelouch, that could give them a bit of a good bounce back, but they don't commit. And the map is dark for OB.NEON right now. No forward ops wards means smoke plays are very hard to pull off. Meanwhile, the Roche being taken by Polaris. No wards to watch that area either for Neon. So they don't even know the Roche is happening right now. Yeah, it's that Storm Surge for the Reflect back. There's an 18% chance on your attack to have a Lightning Strike, and always on Spellcast. So you have a good source of constant slow. It makes it hard to commit onto the Razor, try to run him down. It gives more presence out to Natsumi. Second life out on the Razor as well. Means that you're going to have to kill him twice. He's got the Assault Cuirass up. He's got the SNY up with a BKB. He's very tanky on that Razor. The damage output of Neon's just not there. Unless they focus all their spells on one, it's likely you're not going to kill anyone here. Oh no.
Middle tower. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is
No. He's got Aegis AC, so tanky. And the one issue right now for Neon is even if they jump the Lesh, if Stampede is up, with the Ags upgrade on Force, you can't get any kills. Oh no. It's a toughie. They could try to split push with the NP when he's back up, but I don't think they can make much headway in the side lanes at this point. It just doesn't feel like enough. Oh my god. Yeah, Polaris just completely dismantled OB.NEON, and
5 seconds remaining. Team bad. Dire team bad. Radiant team bad. Dire team bad. Radiant team pick. Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining.
Doing great, Mike. You know, game one was quite the showing from Polaris. OB.NEON not having a great time there. They tried something else with the Tide on support, giving Enryu the off lane, and P didn't quite work out. And the Razor pick from Polaris really sealed the deal and just playing fast and hard and just having this overwhelming lead. I think it ended with only 5 kills for Neon, something like 20 plus for Polaris. So an overwhelming win for Polaris. We'll see if Neon can bounce back here if they want to stay and force a game 3.
Dire team pick. Lion. Radiant team pick. I speak for the trees.
Yeah, and I think for Polaris, it's much more open for where that Nature's Prophet will go. Again, we've seen Xavius play that Nature's Prophet 4. I think the last time we saw Polaris pick it, it was on the Pause 4 as well. So more activity coming out from Polaris. Lion support, just stable stun, stable hex, good burst damage on hand. I love what Neon's done though. So with a Snapfire to go into Kunkka, just securing Mamangdaya's mid before it's banned out. Mamangdaya does deliver spectacular performances on that Kunkka, and now you have really good early team fight. You've got the boat buff to play with to make yourself durable and get AoE control. You've got the X Torrent, the Tidebringer to control the lane, and even clear out some of those Nature's Prophets treants if they do show up. And you've got the Kisses to fly in as well. So you've got a good combination of early timing here from Neon, which was lacking in game 1. They just had nothing to play with. There's a lot of durability from Polaris. This time with Snap Kunkka, you can actually get some activity on the map.
5 seconds remaining. Radiant team bad. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
I think they should have. I think they've seen it a couple of times. They run it themselves. So that's a big benefit for Polaris. They know how it plays on mid. Lelouch plays a lot of Kunkka, you know, back when he was called Mac. Fitting with their old team. Androids, Sedace, Pirates, Admirals. Kunkka was there. So I think they know how to handle that in mid. At least Mac should be able, or Lelouch should be able to work his mid matchup here, figure out what he wants to take, and kind of run from there. For Polaris, they could look to play that early aggression once more for themselves, get them early push going. With Nature's Prophet on hand, you can pile onto that. Left track might be able to work, but against a Kunkka, it can be a difficult lane. We've seen Kunkka kind of win out there. It will give you more push though. For the off lane, you could look for something like, say, Beastmaster. That could be one way of going about it. Give Force something that can just keep pressuring lanes, apply that early aggression, clear out the objectives fast to secure map space here. Ten seconds remaining.
5 seconds remaining.
And when you've got Tide NP as well, Mike, there's a lot of good right-click damage coming out from the NP. Level 1 Gush with a Blightstone on Nature's Prophet means that you can harass out the safe lane really easily for Polaris. So they can leverage that minus armor well, have a good time with his dual lane. Not much control in that dual lane, but damage output alone might be enough to help you get running there. And just kind of set up. Make it tough for Paulus to get that initial farm, tough for him to become that big win condition that Neon needs him to be, and cut off the pacing for Neon from there.
Team pick. Dire team pick. Disruptor. Ten seconds remaining.
I like the Slark. The Disruptor I'm not quite sold on. They did need some good hard AoE control. Kinetic Field and Static Storm doesn't provide that. So they've got their own way of getting wide AoE control to line up for the Kisses, to line up for the Boat and Torrent combination from the Kunkka. And the Slark matchup against Tide, it is still a bit annoying, but you can trade fairly well. You can get Essence Shift, Dark Pact off, a lot of harassment, pounce away. Again, if you're running Tide plus Nature's Prophet, there's not much hold, so you can still kind of run there. Polaris do go back to the Leshrac here for Lelouch, more than likely on mid. So Kunkka versus Lesh, we talked about the possibility of that earlier. It does give them a lot of push on Polaris' side. They've got Nature's Prophet and Lesh. Once that NP rotation comes to mid, that mid tier one's not going to last for long. I think that's the timing Polaris is going to be looking for here. But otherwise, for Mamang Daya, I think you have a better time level 1 to 3, even maybe up to level 4. It actually feels really good for the Kunkka. You play with Tidebringer. As long as you don't get hit by the split Earth, the Kunkka should be able to hold that lane. So it's all about dancing around for the Kunkka. And it is a bit easier for the Lesh to land that stun on a melee hero. So that's something Mamang will have to watch out for.
Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Razor against Slark is really good. Razor against Kunkka is really good. There are a lot of ways to hold back the Razor though. Limps, Pounce, and X means that a Razor pick would have to go for a fast BKB. I don't think that's a big issue for Natsumi if he does go for that. And they just play that tempo draft we saw from game 1. So we'll have to see how Neon reads it. They ban out the Bloodseeker. Maybe expecting there's a possibility there for Natsumi pause 1 Nature's Prophet. And they're going to be last picking the Savius hero instead. Running the Lion 5 with something else in the 4. Savius, that could be one way, but they are still banning out the big cores, preventing that Troll and the Magnus being banned out by Polaris. So not wanting to have to deal with RP on top of Kisses on Boat and X and Power on Slark. Neon will go for the LT, which does make sense when you're up against a Nature's Prophet. The Treants will be feeding out towards the overwhelming odds if you do play that lane. The spell immunity coming through from the Shard at 20 minutes is really strong, and you can kind of play with the duels. So you get a Static Storm, lots of easy dual targets. You've got the follow-up from your Snap and Kunkka, so the Legion Commander can kind of snowball. I do still worry about instant control. It's not quite there from Neon. Sure, there are not many slippery heroes on Polaris, but once BKBs are up, locking them in won't feel amazing. The Kunkka loses out on a lot of damage, Snapfire as well. Disruptor is completely countered by that item. So I think Polaris still has a lot to play for, maybe just emphasizing early spell immunity here.
Choose your hero.
All right. So, yes, will be. I'm a bit surprised though that they give Force to Shaker and they run Mavis on the Tide instead. I feel like you could have still run Force on the Tide, Xavius on the Shaker, which we know Boomy excels at. You know, we know he loves his Earth Shaker. So I feel like Xavius Shaker would have been really nice, but they shift back to the support Tide themselves. We saw Neon fail with that in game 1. UK was not having a great time. Let's see if Mavis can have a better time. You do still get the NP Tide lane though. So that combination we talked early with offlane Tide and a support NP, it's still there with a support NP, with a core NP and a support Tide. So you can still play minus armor, still get that early Blightstone start, and play with a Gush for Natsumi. That can be a lot of damage coming through for Neon. Like, you're dealing with Legion Commander offlane, overwhelming odds will deal with the Treants, and I think overall you still have good trade potential there for Polaris. I actually think Polaris does have a better draft here. They have a lot of wide AoE control. With Shaker, with the Tide, with the Leshrac following up on that. They've got the presence from the NP. I think Neon has to be ready for Polaris to play that fast game again. They have to be able to get their movement out this time and force the fight back if they want to get their items and power spikes going here.
Prepare for battle!
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
Play it safe, I think. For level 1, so you do have a bit more presence from Polaris. They've got the chain stuns coming through, so it can be a bit you get caught out there. There's some good damage from OB.NEON for level 1, especially with that Thunderstrike doing a lot of work, and of course the Tidebringer flying through, but I think you might be a bit worried going into Polaris. So let's see if someone bends here as they are clumping around the top, and there's a lot of good vision here for OB.NEON with double wards on that mid lane. Well, when you consider it's against the Slark, you still face the same weaknesses as the Tide, except you don't have Anchor Smash to at least clear out the wave. So it's a bit tougher for Force. He does go for the level 1 enchant to have some trade potential with right click and secure the denies and some fast CS. So I think that's the one thing you get out. You are not having a good time on Xavius though. The trade not ending up well for the line, so gonna have to pop back the Sal for him. And the shortcoming of Shaker in lane is that it doesn't do much. You do have double stuns here with the line. but it's not like you can really line up for the aggression, and I think that's something that OB.NEON's going to play really well against. You can see UK just constantly cutting off Xavius. Sure, he's losing out in HP now, but he still has his own salve ready to go, and he has the mangoes to sustain that, although... Yeah, I think it's to be, as you said, it's to be expected. The Kunkka does find that earlier lead. For Lelouch, he starts to get a little bit more presence if he can land that split Earth, but he is kind of forced to dance around. If he does land a split Earth like that, he can win out the trade, clear out the creep wave. Does have level 2 Lightning Storm to apply some harassment as well. Rune control is the most important thing here. Like, whoever does get to control the water runes, deny off some water runes as well with supports, kind of gets a very big advantage. And looks like for now, no supports will come true, so the lane will maintain. But if you manage to misstep, the key thing is misstep. Like, say Leshrac gets caught out by Torrent, it becomes bad for Lesh. If Kunkka gets caught out by Split Earth, it becomes bad for him. It's all down to that spell use and catching people out. We saw it a bit earlier on. Natsumi, he's starting with that Blightstone. You've got the Gush ready to go on Mavis, so there's a lot of minus armor. If you manage to get the good slow and someone out of position, there's a lot of damage that can come through from the NP and the Treants once the summons are up as well. Of course, Enryu always has the overwhelming odds to play with. Let's opt for the early Helm of Iron Will here to just kind of have the armor to go against that minus armor and sustain. So Enryu's still finding some good CS, but I don't think he can really stop Natsumi from getting what he wants, despite him being slightly behind in CS there. Bang it, lost. Yeah, bang it. It's like ugly. Yeah, it's ugly loss. Ugly loss. Bang it. Yes. Ugly loss. Ooh. Of course. That's. Oh, you can see. You know, I've got an NFT. I can get. You're a bit jealous, Mike. Yes, it is. Yes, sir. Yeah, I don't know if these are very good words to learn, Mike, but you're learning, as is everyone. Hopefully not, Mike. That could lead into something more explosive afterwards if you tell that to the good old wife. Fair enough. Yeah, I think for Enryu, the one advantage he has is that early Helm of Iron Will. Like, just that HP and armor alone kind of negates that entire minus armor strat with NP tied. So Mavis is not really able to leverage as much as he'd want. He will still be able to control the creep wave, get some good pulls going in, kind of slow down whatever plans OB.NEON has. You can't really play too aggressive with LC and Snap. There is some good damage, but it's not really that bursty. And Natsumi is ranged. It's hard to land a good cookie into all the follow-up. As long as Natsumi plays safe, he's fine, although... Yeah, I think the issue for this kind of matchup for Disruptor is that he has to invest a lot in region. We've seen UK come in with mangoes. He still has 2 mangoes left. I think those were fresh buys. So for him to keep harassing back Savius, he has to invest a lot. Whereas for Savius, once he gets a value point in mana drain, he's not going to be under threat. He's always going to have the pool to kind of deal with that Disruptor. And every time they get one stun, they can get a follow-up stun easy. Still a relatively even lane despite that back and forth, although down bot.
Lakad mo to! Normally.
It's an important kill to still find. It relieves some of the pressure on the Slark. He needs to get off to a running start, and that just kind of sets up. Mamangdai is already having a decent time. We haven't seen him rotate out with a boat, kind of forced to use it on mid, as we saw earlier on. But they could look for the X-plays now. I think the issue is you need levels on Enryu to really leverage that. You want that duel up. He's almost there for Enryu. He has a free lane by himself. No one's here to help him out. So soaking potential for the LC to hit those early level spikes are big, and Polaris will have to watch themselves. They've got the slight lead, but it's still fairly even in Neon. They will get off to a running start once Mamangdai is ready to run around here. Yeah, it's toss back. Like, I think Neon has a lot of control for that Prophet. They have the Glimpse to call him back. They have the X to call him back as well. There's a lot of options in just keeping that movement out from Natsumi to a minimum. And that's something that OB.NEON's using very well. Polaris, they're fighting some back and forth trades. They do need to kind of wait out because they've got the Shaker off. They're going to need to wait for the blink timing. They will try to run around with Lelouch though.
Returns from whence it came.
Dyer's tower is under attack.
See nature's blasted core.
Dyer's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, and they know Palos is still here. They're hunting around the tree line. The TPs are coming in for defense, but they are still fairly strong on Polaris' side.
Are you going to do something about
Oh,
Lakad mo to! Normally.
it goes back to the draft here, Mike. We talked about Polaris having a lot of stuns, and if they land one, they land the rest. You have the Lion to set up for the easy Hex. spikes. Then you get the split earth. You got the shaker with the enchant, with the totem, and the fissure as well. And you just can't play against that. The Slark can only dodge so many spells. And the control on Neon, it's still sort of reliant on UK hitting 6. You need a static storm for these bigger engagements. UK is a mile away from finding that those levels on the Disruptor. Is getting some space mid. But I think until your Disruptor is 6, you do not want to take these bigger fights yet. You have to be a bit patient here on Neon's side. Keep trying to find more farm on map. Keep trying to build up on Palos and Mamungdaya to hit their own item spikes here.
I'll take that.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Normally.
Yeah, it's not the best target to give that kill to, but it is that level 6 spike for UK. Good use of the static storm. All 3 kills from Neon have been on force though. They haven't been able to pressure the NP, pressure the Lesh, and I think that's an issue as Lelouch is looking top now. Yeah, and that was a really important kill for Savius. His blink is just about 500 gold away. They smoke up on the back of that. They've got Ravage ready. They might be able to find a big one in Mamungdaya here.
Your admiral is on board.
Oh.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under
Yeah, and that opens up a lot of map space for Polaris once more. We saw this in the first game where they take the mid tower and the opposing safe lane tower and just run from there. Control the jungle, prevent farm from coming through. Neon still need time to build up. They've got their levels up though. I think for Neon, this is the time you can group up as 5. Play with your X, play with a Kisses and Static Storm, and with a boat, and just kind of find some kills. They need to keep doing that on the Neon side to get some space going and start to punish Polaris' own aggression here. Two times in a row there for Polaris in the triangle. Great kills. No cores, but they're building up in their big cores from picking off their supports. Nice kill coming out from Natsumi and for Lelouch to kind of keep that momentum going. They can line up for the top tier 1 push now, starving out the side of OB.NEON, making it easier to keep playing that triangle. But they go for a smoke again. They've got Finger, they've got Ravage. They can keep looking for these bigger fights.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Oh, Ravage. Oh, what?
You can't shoot without hitting a stupid talking rocket.
That's huge. They punish the overaggression from Polaris, diving a bit deep there and overcommitting. The spells are flying through. Kisses coming out from Norman. We do not have the best reach from Polaris to actually stop that. They don't have a clockwork, no Nyx, no Spirit Brothers to jump the back line. It's only really the NP that might be able to TP in and stop it. So you get max value there with your Snapfire. And Neon's starting to find themselves in a good position for team fights. They know that whenever Kisses are up, when they've got the Static Storm, when they've got both, they can actually force these engagements. Force has to be careful up top. They look like they might want to defend though. Oh.
Rise next season.
Grew a bit too big for your grassy britches.
Lively now. Your admiral is
Oh.
Your elements.
He's just too speedy. Lelouch, the Travels and Mules moves at 4-4-5. He can just kind of come back and play from there. Side of OB.NEON, they lose a lot of heroes up top. They smoke up as 2 down bot. They could catch a nice lonely force. Be another death on this Shaker if he's not careful. Yeah, but I don't think Polaris minds too much. Like, out of all the kills on Neon, 6 out of 9 of those kills have been on Force. So they're just extremely focused on the Shaker. But at this point with the Blink, you're kind of satisfied in that Shaker. You're buying space for your Lush, buying space for the NP, as Polaris now smoke up on their end. They've got Ravage, they've got Finger, they've got the Slam ready to go. They could try to make a play on Mamang Dai if he's not too careful here.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Oh. Like, he has regen, which is like a double damage for Lush. So that's just sickening. It's usually DD regen when you have the Lush rack just as good. And Roshan not gonna last long. Can you save value? Man. It's just very fortunate for Polaris. OB.NEON, no wards, nothing to play with there. 2 lives on Lelouch now, going into the next fight. And the side of OB.NEON, their map is just top tower faults in the end. They catch out Enryu, but really committing yet. Yeah, the fights of... Oh. They do see the kisses committed, and there's a wrap back here from Polaris. They could try to go for that fight. There is a ward to spot them. They're going to have to be quick with that jump in.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
That's a really nice dance from Palos. Hit and run on Natsumi, so despite losing quite a bit in the map, losing towers, losing Roshan, they find that pos 1 NP. They're stopping Natsumi from scaling all too fast. Still, this Nature's Prophet is up there in net worth, 11k on board, only kind of matched by the Leshrac. Palos still playing catch-up. BKB almost done on that Slark, and that's key for him, because he's not very well protected in the Shadow Dance. There's a lot of AoE from Polaris. The BKB is necessary for Palos to play on the edge, and this could be the condition Neon's looking for. Just having a hero that can stand in front, doesn't care for Lesh damage, doesn't care for the Shaker and line control, and just gets the hits off. As the fights prolong, the Slark does feel a lot better, and I think that is what Neon's going to have to gun for. Polaris, though, still grouped up bot. They've got Lelouch around here. Edict ready to go. Tier 2 tower. Not going to last long here.
War has come to Radiant's bottom tower. Dire's middle tower is not what it used to be. That is for Radiant hides behind their fortifications. Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Was worth Radiant's bottom tower is standing. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And we've seen Polaris do that in game 1, Mike, where they got super durable on Lelouch. They went super durable on Natsumi. They had this Ags timing as well on Force. And you don't have that Stampede damage introduction, but you are having a lot of armor in Palos.
enough already.
Normally.
That's the only thing that will allow Palos to stand in front and deal with Lesh. Without that, it's a bit tougher. Enry is looking for a dual angle though, but he doesn't really have his allies to help him. The attacker just melts. Palos! Oh.
War has come to Radiant's bottom tower.
They don't have a creep wave, so backdoor protection will kick in about 15 seconds. That's enough time to still melt this. They've got the damage with NP and Lush, and you have to admire how patient Savius has been. We've been commenting on that figure use, Mike. For the past 2-3 ganks, he's been holding onto it. He finds that opportunity, uses it on the big target, and just makes it work. And now Savius, he's rushing the Axe. He's actually going line Axe.
Radiant's bottom barracks are begging for their lives. The seeds of fortune.
You're going to need help from that LC. You're going to need a little bit more from Mamang Daya as well. I think we need to see our Kunkka hit its own control timings, right? We need to see the Ags coming out, the Ag shard as well for some repositioning here. He is fading.
That sheds a tear for Radiant's metaphorically speaking.
Massive win for Neon. Polaris pretty split up in that fight. I think they needed to be able to back up Lelouch a lot faster. Tried to hammer in on the Slark. He was losing his BKB early on. He popped it very early. There was a massive window for Polaris to get their damage out. Couldn't manage to get there in time. So good punishment coming out from Neon to split that fight into stages. Staggering the way Polaris comes in, punishing them for kind of being split up and getting their own damage out. They have gotten themselves some time here to push in a bit. Mid-tier 2 kind of falling, but not enough damage on Palos to really get that done by himself. And the respawns are fairly short here.
Middle tower has fallen. Your edge needs sharpening.
Oh,
Warriors of the wood. Radiant's bottom barracks are under attack. How long can this go on?
just slick from Polaris. Like that little four-staff play from Xavius to drag in Lelouch in time to get the stun, chaining the stuns together. You talked about that BKB use on Palos? I think it is a big deal, Mike. It's down to 6 seconds, so that means Lelouch, there's a very small window where you can actually just punch the Lesh now. You only have 6 seconds to right-click the Leshrac freely. Once that fades, even with Dark Pact, even with the Shadow Dance, Leshrac's damage is AoE. You will melt. That's the one counter to Slark in that Shadow Dance. Leshrac's the biggest one. And because Palos had to keep popping BKBs defensively, his window just shortens by a huge amount. I think for Polaris, that's a huge benefit for them, even though it was a bit rocky in the early engagements, as they build up their lead now. 16 to 31, 9k lead up, almost 2 times more in kills as well, as they finally hit that AC timing on Natsumi. So he's not going to completely melt to the Tideburn, not going to completely melt to Slark. He's going to be able to stand his own ground in the middle, especially when he has his BKB available. Neon, you're going to smoke and try to fight though. Oh. He has been. It's going to be worse once he has his Ags up. It's close, Mike. 500 gold away as the mid-Axe just falls, and Polaris playing clean across the series. Neon not out of it yet. They've still got some fight left in them. They're going to need Static Storm. They're going to need the kisses to come true to hold their high ground here.
normally.
Oh. Oh god.
It feels good to be this good.
Ooh. Yeah. And we were talking to Polaris yesterday, Mike. You know, CML, Mavius said, Nico said, Force said, that we're very confident coming in. They feel like there's a really strong